You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You can find us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. We want you guys to help us keep the conversation moving forward by supporting the show. You can share it online with your friends and family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. Link is in the description below. We're here in the studio today with our good friend and our pastor, Dr. Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism. Dr. Shah, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm not here to quibble and stuff, but I am here
I'm going to go ahead
work
and cast my
towards
line right off the bat. Quibble.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Did it work? Oh, there it is. Is it quibble?
Oh, man.
Right off the bat, I thought it was a fake word.
Good for you.
No, I thought it was a fake word.
Quibble.
I thought for sure he was. I was just tossing in the towel earlier.
Good for you. Quibble. What does quibble mean?
I mean, just like
bicker, I think.
bicker and argue and fuss about things. Stop quibbling. Let's get to the show.
That's
yeah,
right.
that's right.
No
That's
more
right.
quibbling here. The verse of the day today is coming to us from Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 30. The Lord your God who goes before you, he will fight for you according to all he did for you in Egypt before your eyes.
You know what? A true blue friend, Dr. Shah, is a friend who will fight for you.
That's right.
There's a lot of people in life, and I have learned this is a painful lesson that I've learned over life. I don't know if it's just being a millennial, just like seeing friendship like really romanticized on TV or whatever. But there's a lot of friends who you consider your close friends in life. When it comes time to fight for you, they're like, well,
Yeah.
there's two sides to every
That's
story,
right.
you know? They don't fight for you.
Yep. And to know that God will fight for you, you just have to see it. You just have to believe that. And I know in my life, time and again, God has come through. At the moment, it felt like I was alone. I felt like, this is just me against the world or me against the situation or a person or whatever. But in time, I realized the whole time God was fighting. The spiritual realm had already entered into the earthly realm and was fighting for me.
That's right.
And he won. The victory was ours. And I'm of the testimony that God will fight for his people.
Amen.
Yes.
One of the things I really respect about you is that, and you even said this at lunch today, maybe if you want to say a quick word, or maybe we can do an episode on this in the future, is that if you want to be in ministry and really last in ministry, a lot of people won't fight for their ministry.
Yeah.
That's right.
They'll just be like, well, look, it didn't work, or people got the better of me or whatever, but they won't fight for it.
I learned that from my parents. This has been years ago. I want to say 2008. This was in 2009. My dad got really sick, and it was a medication issue. He had some heart issue, and when he went to get some medication, they did not give him proper instruction. So the medication was right, the instructions were not, and so he began to become very, like, all of a sudden, like, lifeless, like just had no energy, just kind of going downhill. And we thought he was dying. So some of y'all may remember that I went to India to see him.
Yes.
Maybe this was it. And by God's grace, he was able to come out of it. But in the meantime, there were some things happen at their church where some people were giving trouble, trying to use this as an opportunity to get into the pulpit or, become the next pastor or whatever. And I remember making a comment to my mom. I was like, they can just have it, I said, what do you mean? I said, it's like they're fighting for it. Fine, take it. He was like, no, you don't do that. I'm like, what do you mean? No, you fight for it. You don't just give it like that. And so I was just talking, but that was a great teaching moment for me. This is 2009, so how long ago? Maybe like 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
And I was like, he said, yeah, you don't just give ministry over because somebody opposed you.
Right.
If you're walking the path, if you're trusting God, if you're being obedient to him and sacrificing your life for him, and somebody's trying to take it, you fight back.
Yeah.
You don't just, roll over and say, okay, fine, whatever, you can have it. You don't do that.
Right.
And that had a profound impact on my life. And then I stopped and kind of, did a survey of my parents' ministry. And I saw that over the years, my dad, as he was a pastor of the church, he had people oppose him, or opposition came against him, and outsiders would try to come in and try to take the church or go against the church. And he fought. And I was like, oh, that's what they were saying to me. And so through the years when opposition has come here, sometimes internally, sometimes externally, man, that conversation stayed with me.
Yeah.
You know what? It shows, because that happened in 2009. You had that conversation. I came in 2013, and that's the year that you were wrapping up your series on Nehemiah. And you talk about opposition. I remember coming. Seriously, and I'm not joking. I'm not saying this just for the sake of the show. I remember coming in my very first Sunday. I think you were in Nehemiah,
Right?
or you might have been wrapping up Romans, but I think you were starting Nehemiah. And I was like, "What the heck is Nehemiah? Like, who?"
Yeah.
Seriously, I remember I was like, "Who preaches on that?" I didn't even know that was a book. And when I say that series changed me, not just because of the book itself, but because of the way you preached it, and your style of preaching was so unlike anything I heard. When I say that it changed me, I mean I'm really shifted my thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I would never have heard another pastor stand up in the pulpit and say, "I'm fighting for this ministry, and I'm going to win."
Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab.
Yeah.
These were the three who were opposing Nehemiah. And they even wanted to, at first they tried to, just go, head on against him. And then they tried to infiltrate. And then they even volunteered to help him. And he's like, "No, we don't need your help. You're not going to help us.
Right.
You're not going to help us. I don't need to partner with you."
That's right.
And so not only my parents, but also the Word of God had a big part to play in how I think about ministry. And even Paul, the Apostle Paul, he fought for ministry.
Oh, yeah.
I think those are such great examples for us because it goes so countercultural to what the idea we have of well, if God wants to take the ministry from me, that's okay, and just let it pass.
Yeah, I get it. You know what? I'm going to be like
hands.
Jesus. No, Jesus is like
Jesus fought back.
wise as serpents, harmless as doves.
Yeah. Like your example about Paul too. I think David said it at lunch, where it was like, Paul didn't just stand up for his ministry. Like Paul stood up for his own self. I think it was it 2 Corinthians? It was one of the Corinthians where he I'm an apostle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ever
listen
treat
to me.
Don't ever treat me like I'm not an apostle. I'm
That's
an
right.
apostle of Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
as Jim Stanwich would say, I'm somebody.
I'm somebody.
I'm important.
That's right.
Hey,
Shout out to Jim
you
Stan.
got to listen to me.
No, you can listen to me.
Yeah, to me.
I ain't some podunk preacher with a pot to give away. You go listen to me.
You go listen to me.
I'll tell you what, man. Dude was feeling it. I'll give him that. I knew, and Dr. Shah, I think you said this too. Dude was coming from a place of real frustration.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
fed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of importance, we've got a lot of important stuff to talk about today, but don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with more Clearview Today. Hey, Clearview Today listeners. We want to take a quick moment to thank you for tuning in. As you can imagine, producing a show like this takes a lot of time, effort, and resources. And we're grateful for the Truth Network for giving us a platform to syndicate our show. But the vast majority of our support comes from listeners just like you. If you enjoy these talks with Dr. Shah and you want to see Clearview Today continue to grow, consider making a donation today. Because your contributions help us deliver fun, relevant, and biblical content right to your phone every single day.
That's right. Every single donation, big or small, goes directly to the production of this show. It helps us keep the lights on in the studio. It helps keep the mics hot and running. So if these conversations are making a difference in your day, or if you just want to help us keep the gospel of Jesus Christ in the airwaves, we would appreciate your support. You can give by visiting our website. That's clearviewtodayshow.com, and just click on that button that says Give Today. And remember, your support truly makes a difference in our show. Thank you for being part of this community. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
I'm so sorry. I went to go start the show. Dr. Shah, we are experiencing, and I know I say this, I think a lot of people say this, but I think truly it is the truth. We are experiencing the biggest cultural shift that I think people have ever experienced in the last few decades. There's a really, really interesting thing happening right now. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. We kind of hinted at it because we wanted to formulate our thoughts and really get what we wanted to say into a manageable episode. We're seeing a lot of people becoming disillusioned with the left. A lot of people are becoming aware of the disconnect from the leaders of the left, who are celebrities typically.
Yeah.
They're not usually politicians or people of actual authority. They're usually popular celebrities. But I've been struggling for a way to put it, and I think really we just kind of said it this morning. The left is becoming unpopular. It's going out of style.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I never
there
thought
was
I
a
would say
time where
that.
it was very in vogue to be left liberal, like associated with that camp. But we're seeing that shift. That
They're
change.
becoming the dorky kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're becoming the hall monitors, the kids that people don't want to sit with at lunch.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad because that is the heart of America. We are people who love freedom. We like our liberties. And what has happened is the left has gone overboard. I mean, they've been doing it for a while, but gone overboard in kind of handcuffing us and curbing our liberties, taking away our freedom. Can't say this, can't do that. You better do this.
Right.
You better put that mask on. How dare you? You're canceled for talking like that to me, or you have to accept me, you have to validate me, and people got tired of it.
They're sick of it. And you know what's funny is I went to go look. The reason we're even talking about this is because there are people on the left, liberals on TikTok, who are saying these things. I went to go find them to play them. They got took down. They got took down. But I'm sure they're out there. You can find them. But there are tons of young women. They were all women, the ones that I saw. Well, there was one young man, but they were all liberals. They were all saying, "Listen, I'm a liberal. I'm as liberal as it gets. I can't stand the president. I can't stand conservatives. But I got to tell you, we have shot ourselves in the foot."
Yep.
He said, and if we don't learn from this, there won't be a Democratic Party for the next like 10, 20
Which
years.
is not a problem for me.
Yeah,
that'd
I
be
don't
fine.
care about that.
That would
would
be
fine.
fine.
I wouldn't mind.
Which is
all
not a
the
problem.
liberals
Because
there.
of the values they've been peddling for the past 15, 20 years, and they've been doing it for a long time, but especially in the past 15, 20 years, man, we can live without some some
we can
liberal
live better without
Democrats.
People think that it's really important that America have two parties. It's like not if that's
No,
the
it's
other
really
one.
not.
Not if that's the
Not
alternative.
if that's the other one.
Yeah.
But what a lot of them, what I've been seeing is that the liberals have turned into the annoying hall monitors. Did you have like hall monitors when you were in school?
Yeah, well, I was one of them.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Well, I was not a hall monitor, but I was the head of the student body.
I got you.
So we had to make sure everybody's okay. They're they're in the right uniform and all that. But I was a fun one. I was not like the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I never gave people trouble.
Like if you
for-
see your friends hanging out in the bathroom, it's like, come on, fellas.
yeah, we gotta get back in.
Yeah.
But overall, we were the fun leaders. But liberal hall monitors, oh my goodness, you write an essay.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta better have this inclusive language. If you don't, that's not acceptable.
Right.
I mean, I remember that from 20 years ago.
Yep.
I had to go back and revise a lot of my articles because it did not have the gender neutral language in it. I mean,
For real?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to make it he.
In your PhD seminar?
Oh yeah, I had to make it like she and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have to do that.
Huh.
Cannot all be masculine. Has to be some feminine in there.
So this wasn't just something from the last 4 years.
This has been coming.
Yeah.
This has been coming. This leftist ideology, and it especially starts in the universities. Okay, arts is controlled by a lot of times by the leftist people.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, because technical things like repairing a motor or building a structure requires hard and fast rules. Art is so subjective.
Right.
So leftist people usually gravitate towards arts.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
And so writing, I mean, in our field, we have to write. So a lot of the writing is controlled by the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not
So
by the
then-
carpenters and the plumbers and the electricians.
Right.
It's controlled by literary critics.
So then all the thoughts and the ideas that we get come from people on the left. They come
Right.
from liberal ideology.
Yes.
And so then I guess the more you see it, because there's so much of it out there, the more you start to think this is just how the world works.
This is how it's going to be.
Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm weird for thinking that ideology is harmful.
I wouldn't say I ever thought I was weird. I just thought I was outdated. It's like I'm just outdated.
Huh.
That like at one time this was normal, but now I'm outdated unless I use the gender neutral language. And now to look back and go, man, that's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in fact, if you try to force that, you're the outdated one. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Across the country, there is a movement where all of a sudden people are like, okay, I like the old ways.
Yeah.
I like the tradition. And this is not even a racist thing. There's a pastor in Chicago who does rooftop revelations. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't heard of it. Rooftop Revelation?
Rooftop Revelations. This is a pastor who decided to camp on top of his, I think, church's roof or the roof of one of the buildings. Rain or shine, cold or hot, he was just going to stay there.
Okay.
And so he decided to do that. And this is all through the past 4 or 5 years, okay, maybe 4 years. And he is a big Trump supporter. He's an African-American pastor, but here's was his point. He said, since LBJ, right, Lyndon B. Johnson.
This is the guy?
That's him right there. Yep. Since Corey Brooks.
Corey Brooks.
Yes, Pastor Corey Brooks. Since LBJ, we have been fed these lies that we have to be given these crumbs at the government's feet, and so you sing their song, you sing their tunes, so you can get these crumbs. He said prior to that, you had people who worked hard. Especially in Chicago, they used to work hard and make a living. Like he talks about Fuller, he said, "Man, this was an African American man, a black man who worked hard and became one of the first millionaires in America from the African American community." He said, "But now that's looked upon as, man, you're for capitalism. Man, you are a terrible person. You take advantage of people. How dare you?" So leftist ideology took over, and look at what Chicago is like.
Right.
Now, Chicago has its great parts, but what do we know Chicago for?
Yeah, I mean,
now,
for
right?
crime, especially gun crime, yeah.
Exactly. So this Pastor Corey Brooks, Rooftop Revelation, look him up online if you ever want to.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a video he just released. Maybe you can listen to that video about supporting President Trump. He was at the inauguration, by the way.
He was there?
Oh, really?
He was at the
Did you
inauguration.
see him?
No, I didn't see him.
Oh, gotcha.
But he was at the inauguration, and he says something very powerful about President Trump and how. Oh, yep. Let's put that on. That's
Okay.
it. That's the one. It was on Fox News, and it just does a great job on what he says about President Trump. So let's listen into that.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. All right, so this is Rooftop Revelation.
Post-60 liberalism never spoke to our better selves. It only brought out the worst in ourselves. That is why when I heard Trump's simple words about returning to a colorblind and merit-based society, it struck me rather personally. Hello, America. I'm Pastor Corey Brooks. From the south side of Chicago to the nation's capital, this is Rooftop Revelations. Many of you know me as the Rooftop Pastor. I recently spent 343 days living on top of a roof through Chicago's cold and heat to bring awareness to the violence and to raise money for this much-needed community center that you see being built behind me. And because of the many donations from Americans just like yourself, we are raising the needed funds for this glorious leadership and economic community center. We aim nothing less than the full transformation of Chicago's most violent block, O Block, into Opportunity Block. Here we discuss issues, local to national, from the streets to the Capitol. For you who have been on the journey with us, welcome back. And if this is your first time watching Rooftop Revelations, we're glad you're joining us for this latest edition of Rooftop Revelation. I had the privilege to attend the inauguration for President Donald Trump. The highlight for me was his speech when he said the following words, quote, "I will end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into everyday life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based," end quote. These words were simple, direct, and they are everything we need to return this lost nation to its rightful path. My neighborhood on the south side of Chicago has been on that lost path for far too long. It wasn't always this way. In the 40s and 50s, working class blacks as well as entrepreneurs lived on my street. There was entrenched segregation, but these blacks did not let it affect them. In fact, they defied it. They practiced the American values, sometimes better than the whites on the other side of the racial divide. One of the most famous examples was Samuel Fuller, who opened his cosmetic products business, Fuller's Products, on 63rd Street. Fuller was born to Louisiana sharecroppers, dropped out of 6th grade due to poverty, and started selling products door to door. He moved to Chicago, where he worked in a coal yard and then as an insurance representative before he decided to pursue his own business. He was so successful that he became the richest black man in America. But what impressed me the most about the story, in light of Trump's comments, was that Fuller believed in America and in the principle of merit. He put thousands of salespeople to work, even those who were not black. He only cared if they could sell. He once said, It doesn't make a difference about the color of any individual's skin. No one cares if the cow is black, red, yellow, or brown. They want the milk it can produce. Most of all, Fuller believed in the power of capitalism. Wherever there is capitalism, there is freedom. We lost these invaluable lessons when post-60s liberalism descended upon our community after President Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty speech. Our government told us that they, not us, would engineer our uplift out of 4 centuries of racial oppression. Sadly, we betrayed the Fullers of our time and sold our soul for pennies on the door. Instead of uplift, what we got were policies of dependency, man-in-the-house rules that helped fracture our families, substandard schools, never-ending violence in our neighborhood, and on and on. Post-60 liberalism never spoke to our better selves. It only brought out the worst in ourselves. That is why when I heard Trump's simple words about returning to a colorblind and merit-based society, it struck me rather personally. It's what I've been preaching to my people all along. It's not the white man that is your problem, but your lack of development. We need to reinforce this message from every side, and we can no longer allow the excuse of race to undermine us and our efforts. The road ahead of us will not be easy, but why should the generation of now pay for the failures of the previous generations? Our work starts now, and our ambition must be nothing less than the creation of more Samuel Fullers to better our America. God bless you, and God bless America. This has been another Rooftop Revelation.
How cool.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
awesome.
yeah.
And you know what's really cool? A year ago, last year, the left would have torn that video apart just because they knew he supported President Trump.
Yep. Right.
And today, I guarantee you, there's still some that will, but I bet you a lot more people who were liberal or left-leaning are like, you know, he's got a good point.
That's right. That's right.
Points, yeah.
And this is just, we're talking about economic policy, okay? But also with regards to sexual issues. If you are still on that bandwagon of the sexual diversity, that man, we have to celebrate homosexuality. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we can still call it sin.
That's right.
All right. Now, we don't have to be hateful to people. We don't have to be mean. We don't have to call. No, but I can tell you that homosexuality is a sin.
That's right.
Transgender lifestyle is a sin. And any pastor or whoever, posing as a pastor, that's what I call it, because if you're no longer standing on the Word of God, you don't have to agree with me 100% when it comes down to orthodox biblical doctrine, but you need to call sin.
That's right. That's 100%
all right?
right.
Call sin. But if a person claiming to be a pastor is calling sin what God said is sin as if it's okay and making ChatGPT arguments, right?
Right.
Hey, you are out of date.
And just so
Yes.
people don't get this twisted, because a lot of people are going to hear that and think you're referring to the bishop.
I'm
President
referring
Trump.
to false preachers
This
around
is happening
Right.
here.
Yes.
This is happening here and now, and it's probably happening in your community too.
Here. Yeah,
It is.
and my word to you is get out of Babylon, get out of Sodom.
That's right. That's right. It's unfortunate that, people are not unfortunate. I mean, it's wicked what people are doing. It's using biblical platforms to pull people away from God's truth. Using the office of pastor at that title to sway people from the truth of God's word.
But
it's despicable.
Well, people, I think I agree 100%. And I'm really, really happy that people are starting to see that it's despicable.
That's right.
I thought for a long time we were going to have to carry this to our graves, being like, we're the few that see sense and see reason, and the majority of America is just not going to see it. And
and we are probably the last of that generation that remembers a time when this was, really declared as sin.
right. But I really love that it's coming around.
Yeah.
I think it's going to start with small with this, where it's like, hey, leftists they're not cool anymore. They're sort of pushy. They're sort of bossy. I think it's going to in time be like, they're actually pretty deranged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a deranged way to think.
We were saying that about them for a long time,
Right.
whether it's economic policy or sexual deviancy or just the hate America spirit. But now it's like, no, people across the board,
Yes.
white, black, Hispanic, Asians, they're all agreeing. This whole leftist ideology that had a chokehold on America for the past 30, 40 years, and especially that hold became very tight over the past, I would say, 10, 12 years. And in the past 4 years, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
we were turning blue.
We were, I thought life was gone. All of a sudden, God came in, and I think it's because of prayers of God's people.
Yes.
And that chokehold has been broken. So I am not for a single moment going to support people. I don't care if it's a city official. I don't care if it's a so-called pastor. I don't care who they are, celebrity, or your aunt or your sister or your cousin or whatever. I'm not going to support them. Sin is sin.
100%.
Right.
By the way, I should say when I said we're turning blue, I meant like we were being choked.
I was going to ask you if that was intentional.
Like we were being choked, not like that we're turning liberal.
Right. That was a very unfortunate or fortunate turn of
Definitely
phrase.
You
not.
ever choke
Tony.
somebody and they turn blue?
I mean, I have not personally, no.
But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah. But I laughed at the wordplay. I thought it was clever.
No, that was no. As soon as I said, I was like, I should probably clarify.
What is the likelihood, Dr. Shah, that this is not just a fluke or a one-time thing, but I mean, can we call this a full-on cultural reset?
I believe that this is an awakening that we've been praying for, right? We know about the first Great Awakening, second Great Awakening, the prayer revivals, the revivals of the so-called crusades back in the 20th century, and we were sort of just disheartened because another awakening had not come. We've been praying and preaching on this and teaching on this for years. I mean, decades, saying, what happened? What happened? It's not. Awakening has come. It's come in a whole different way. What I am asking is for Christians, especially church leaders, to stand up and take hold of this opportunity that God is giving to our nation and start speaking out. You don't have to do it with hate. You can do it with love and compassion. But love and compassion does not mean being timid and fearful.
That's right.
You can be loving and compassionate and still be bold. Jesus was bold. He was never timid. Right? He was never brash, but he was forthright.
Right.
Okay? So I believe this is God's way of opening the door in America for another awakening. I think it's already begun. It's already begun. We have to take hold of that.
Amen.
That's so encouraging to hear because you often don't get that side of the story. You hear about how bad things are, hey, things are changing a little bit, but no, zoom out. This is the great awakening that we've been praying for.
Yes.
That we've been asking God to do. God, would you bring revival and let it start with us?
Amen.
Here it is.
We're here. We're looking at
Step in it. This is the wave you've been waiting for. Ride it.
That's right.
Make sure you guys join us tomorrow, same time, same station. We're going to be diving into another great topic here on the Clearview Today Show. Thanks again to our sponsors for making today's episode possible. And don't forget that you can support us by subscribing to the show on iTunes if you want to re-listen or share it with a friend. And you can always support us financially at clearviewtodayshow.com. John, what do you want to leave our listeners with today?
Definitely want to leave you with 30 Days of Praying for America. These are daily devotions to heal our nation. It's book 3 in our 30-day series. Listen, this book has transformed the way so many people view America. You know, this book is sitting in Donald Trump's Oval Office right now. At least I like to think that it is. But I know for a fact he has a copy.
I was going to say, it's at least in his possession.
It's at least in his possession. So we want to encourage you to get that along with books 1 and 2 in that series. You can also get our original music. Heaven, Here, and Now, our debut album, is available right now along with our EP, Together Forward. And a brand new single is coming out. It's called Great and Awesome. Really, really close to release. We're going to be releasing that. We'll probably let you hear it right here on the show.
That's right. Lots of great content coming your way. Make sure you guys tune in. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.